This is the special business meeting at the Kent County Administrative Complex, 555 Bay Road, Dover, Delaware, Levy Court Chambers, room 203, on Tuesday, January 7th, 2025. I'll now turn it over to our county administrator for instructions.
Thank you. This meeting was being held in person at 555 Bay Road, Dover, Delaware, and Levy Court Chambers. We also are making it available via the internet through WebEx. Participants can join us by phone or by computer during the meeting. There will be opportunities for public comment for those attending in person or online. When the president opens a public comment period, those attending in person may step forward to one of the two podiums and be recognized. If you are joining us by phone and wish to comment, please press *3, which will raise your electronic hand. Our operator will identify you and bring you into the meeting. Press *6 will mute and unmute your line. If you're online, you will see a hand and microphone icon at the bottom of your screen. Please use those at appropriate times. We ask guests to begin public comments by stating your name and address for the record. The county attorney will administer an oath of affirmation to anyone giving testimony during a public hearing. We ask that public comments related to the subjects announced by the president. In addition to public hearings, there will be 2 public comments periods, one at the beginning of the meeting for an agenda items and one near the end of the meeting for general comments. This meeting is being recorded and will follow the rules of procedures adopted by Levy Court, as well as the Mason Rules of Order. Back to you.
Okay, this meeting is now called to order at 7:04 p.m. We'll have the invocation by Commissioner Maston, the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Angel, and a moment of silence for our troops and first responders by Commissioner Sweeney. All rise.
As we come before you today to discuss important matters, we ask for your guidance and wisdom. You are the source of knowledge and understanding. Therefore, we seek your direction in our decision-making process. Help us to listen attentively to one another with open hearts and minds. Amen.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence for our military, law enforcement, firefighters, paramedics, and other first responders who have given their lives in the line of duty. Thank you.
Lori, could we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Present.
Mr. Hall?
Here.
Mr. Hertz?
Here.
Mrs. Maston?
Present.
Mr. Scott?
Here.
Mr. Sweeney?
Here.
Mr. Pepper?
Here.
Madam Clerk of the Peace, roll call reveals 7 present.
Thank you, Lori. We have enough for a quorum. Now is the time for the election of officers for the next 2 years. In a moment, the floor will be open for nominations for the offices of the President and Vice President. Pursuant to Mason's rules, nominations need not be seconded. If more than one person is nominated for an office, voting will be done by roll call until one nominee obtains 4 votes. So I need a motion and a second to open the floor for nominations for the office of President.
So moved, Madam Clerk.
Second.
Motion made by President Pepper, seconded by Commissioner Angel. Okay, the floor is now open for nominations for the office of President.
Madam Clerk.
Yes. Yes, Commissioner President.
Madam Clerk, as current President of Levy Court, if I may, have floor for just a couple minutes, please. I've been on Levy Court for 18 years. During that 18-year period of time, 12 of those years have been in leadership, 8 as president. During that time, we've done a lot of things and accomplished a lot of things. We built the 911 center. We expanded the paramedics throughout Kent County. We completed the West Dover Paramedic Station and built the Kent Recreation Center, which is shared with the Boys and Girls Club. The only time that had ever been done, as far as we know, in the country. Now we're currently in the process of building 2 new paramedic stations and possibly a third this coming year. With that being said, with that time of leadership, and I've recently have additional family responsibilities that weren't expected. I will not be seeking the office of president, and I do like to make a motion to make Commissioner Joanne Maston from the 1st District president of Kent County Levy Court.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion made by President Pepper, seconded by Commissioner Hertz. So there's no other nominations. Okay, so I guess we need a roll call.
Mr. Angel?
Oh,
Yeah,
let's,
you close the nominations, please.
let's do a motion to close the nominations.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Now we can do a roll call. Motion by Commissioner Angel, seconded by Mr. Scott. Commissioner Scott.
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Madam Clerk of the Peace, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you, Lori. Okay, motion reveals that Commissioner Maston. Are we going to do a roll call now on the vote? Or was that it? Are we doing a roll call on the vote, or was that just to close the nominations? Okay, so now we need a roll call, I guess, on the vote to nominate Commissioner Maston as president.
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
No.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, or Madam Clerk of the Peace, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 absent.
Thank you, Lori.
Nay.
So let the record reflect that Commissioner Masson has been elected to serve as president of the Levy Court for the next 2 years. Okay, so I need a motion and a second to open the floor for nominations for the office of vice president.
So moved, Madam.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Angel, seconded by President Pepper. Okay, the floor is open for nominations for the office of the vice president.
Madam Clerk, I'd like to, at this time, also say a few minutes. Having been now going into my 21st year here and been vice president for many years, on and off, and being part of this team and doing what's good for the county and our community, I would like at this time to place in nomination Robert Scott as vice president.
Second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Angel, seconded by Commissioner Maston to select Commissioner Scott as the vice president. Are there any other nominations? All right, I'll need a motion to close the nominations.
Motion to close the nominations.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hertz, second by Commissioner Angel. Okay, so now I need a roll call on the nominations for vice president, for Commissioner Scott as vice president.
Is this the motion to close the,
A motion to close,
okay.
on the motion to close.
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Madam Clerk of the Peace, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Okay, let the record recall that Commissioner Scott has now been nominated to serve as vice president for the term of 2 years. This time, I can turn the meeting over to the elected president. Oh, I'm sorry, we need to vote on that. Sorry, the roll call
Is
for Commissioner
there be a
Scott.
motion and second for that?
We have a motion and a second to nominate.
Motion to vote Commissioner Scott as Vice President.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Second by Hall. Okay. Let's have a roll call, Lori, please.
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
No.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Madam Clerk of the Peace, roll call reveals 6 yeas, 1 nay.
Okay. All right, let the record reflect that Commissioner Scott has been nominated to serve as Vice President for the next 2 years. So at this time, I'll turn the meeting over to our newly elected President, Commissioner Maston. President Maston.
Thank you, Mrs. Wooten. The first item on the listing is the adoption of rules of procedure of the Levy Court, as well as the adoptions of procedure of standing committees. Based on my conversations with our county attorney yesterday, those current rules will remain in place until they're reviewed and revised. And I believe the first opportunity to revise the rules will be next Tuesday, January 14th, correct?
Correct.
County Administrator Simple. The first item is there any additions to the agenda? Any additions? Could we get a motion to adopt the current agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes. The next will be a motion for an appointment of our Levy Court Attorney, Craig T. Eliason. I need a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Excuse me. Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mrs. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
The next, a motion will be needed for the appointment of the Regional Planning Commission Attorney, Erica Sefton.
So move.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mrs. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
We'll need a motion for the appointment of the Real Office Attorney, Erica Sefton.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mrs. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Next, a motion will be needed to accept the appointment of Munitions Attorney Barrett Edwards.
So moved. Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mrs. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Motion for the appointment of the Board of Assessment Review Attorney, Craig T. Eliason.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney,
Yes.
Mr. Pepper,
Yes.
Mrs. Maston,
Yes.
Mrs. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Motion required for the appointment to the Board of Adjustment Attorney, Frederick A. Townsend III.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Angel,
Yes.
Mr. Hall,
Yes.
Hertz,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney,
Yes.
Mr. Pepper,
Yes.
Mrs. Maston,
Yes.
Mrs. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
The next item you have in front of you, the appointments to boards and committees, which I've talked to most of you about what you wanted to do. I would need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
President.
Roll call.
Mr. Angel. Mr. Angel,
Yes.
Mr. Hall,
Yes.
Mr. Hertz,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney,
Yes.
Mr. Pepper,
Yes.
Mrs. Maston,
Yes. However, one exception. When this was created, no knowledge that Mr. Brode wanted to be the contact for the Kent County Volunteer Fire Companies, and I had assigned that to Robert Scott because that's his bailiwick. But I just learned earlier this evening that Mr. Brode does wish to stay on that board.
Madam President, I'll make a motion to, one correction would be Harold K. Brode would remain as the liaison with King County Volunteer Firefighters Association.
Second that motion.
Roll call.
Mr. Angel,
Yes.
Mr. Hall,
Yes.
Mr. Hertz,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney,
Yes.
Mr. Pepper,
Yes.
Mrs. Maston,
Yes.
Mrs. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Okay, moving on to any other business. Any commissioner have anything they would like to discuss? Any public comments? Any commissioner comments?
If there's anyone joining us online that would like to make public comments at this time, please indicate by raising an electronic hand. I see no hands raised, Madam President.
Any commissioner comments?
Madam President,
Commissioner Scott?
I would just like to take a second and thank President Pepper and Vice President Angel for their leadership and their support and what they've provided for Kent County over the course of the years. You gentlemen did a first-class job, and hopefully we can continue that same path moving forward with your guidance.
I second that also. I've only been here 4 years, but you've all been terrific to work with, and I look forward to working at least 2 more years with you.
Thank you. Appreciate that a lot.
Thank you. Madam President,
Yes, sir.
also, we just got this tonight about our SAB meeting up tomorrow here instead of at Mission Barbecue. Seems they don't have any heat. Go think, you have a barbecue grill, it should be heat. Anyway, what a way to start off a new year. But anyway, in case we do get heat, will we be back there, or are we still having it here? Will we still be here? Okay, just want to be sure. Thank you.
Any other commissioner comments? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
On to the group photo session.